Hello. All right, in this video, what we'll cover today are low domain rating and high traffic websites. So if you haven't been to my channel before, definitely check out some of my other videos. I have one other video where I went through 3 low domain rating websites with high page views that you could potentially copy. And people seem to like that, so I decided why not create a weekly series on this. So before we get into this, I want to just tell you the amount of work that I have to do to find these. Typically, I have to go through Ahrefs and go through a number of my own methods for finding these websites. And then what I'll do is just take that time that I've spent. Usually it's about 15, maybe 20 minutes. It's not very long. Find the ones that I think are lucrative to discuss, and then I'm going to put them here in the series. So if you are sticking with me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look and find all the domains that you can learn from. I think the best way to learn SEO is to look at websites that are doing it well, and maybe even sometimes websites that have been trashed or clapped by Google. And then I think that that is just basically the best way to learn. That's how I learned. It took me a number of years to basically try to emulate what I was seeing and then learning from that based on execution. And then I just think that it's a great starting point. So if you want to learn that same way, which I highly recommend, then this video is for you, and please watch until the end, because essentially I'm going to go through all the best websites that I can think of, and I will tell you why I think they're the best. We'll start with ones that are maybe not so great, and we'll go over why they're not so great, and then ones that are great. So the criteria is pretty simple. A low domain rating and then high in the page view count. We are going to be looking at non-programmatic SEO, so that essentially means that people are either writing the articles by hand or they are having AI write the articles. Primarily, we're going to be looking at display advertising websites only, and this is the reason for this is because websites that are monetizing with display ads typically have to have the most amount of page views. So if you find a niche or if you find a specific category that you feel like you could monetize through products like e-commerce, or if you want to monetize through other methods, that's totally up to you. What I would highly recommend is that you start with the highest page view websites first, and then if you want to kind of chip away at that with a lower requirement on the page views in order to make more money, I think that is a better strategy to go for. So this is why we look at display advertising sites first, is because they will have the most amount of potential for you to kind of hack into if you want to go ahead and do that. Okay, if you like this video or the series that we're about to do, please do give me some encouragement in the comments. Tell me that my time is not wasted here. Tell me something positive, please, and put in your questions about SEO. I will definitely answer every single one of them, and then subscribe to my channel because it's very new. Okay, so let's just go through the first one. So I do like this one, even though you could see it got very clapped by Google. Google says, no, I don't like this anymore. But at some point, this website with only a 27 in terms of domain rating was getting 200,000 page views rather quickly. I, as you'll see in all of my videos, primarily keep on only organic traffic and organic pages. This tells me essentially how much would be required to be able to get the same amount of traffic or a similar amount of traffic. The number of pages are basically just the number of posts, okay? And so you have to think about that when you're looking at analyzing these sites, because it will cost you money to produce that. Whether it's through AI or handwritten content, it will still cost you money. Also, just a short disclaimer, none of my videos are edited, so sometimes these can be a little bit choppy, and that's just how they go. Okay, so high amount of United States traffic. In my other videos, you've also seen that I do look at that. I think like that is the best. If you're going to be monetizing through display ads, that's going to pay the most. Also, too, if you're looking to do any sort of e-com or other types of monetization methods like affiliate, most likely they're going to want to be in the United States as well. So you need to look at the traffic source as well by location, which is usually right here on the right side in terms of Ahrefs, where to go and find it. And you want to be looking for sites that have a pretty high degree of that, okay? So I think this is really kind of crazy that it got this much traffic. Of course, this is what happens when you do a lot of AI content. So if we go and check out the website, which is super important, you can see, it's not very well done. Most likely this was a lot of AI content, and it's getting clapped by Google. This is just what happens, right? You can see the content. You don't even really need to read the content. You can kind of just scan by essentially looking at some keywords with your eye. Over time, you'll develop that, but I've been doing this for such a long time that it's pretty easy to kind of just scan the content and see that it's not very well done. Like, for example, this should have probably been a headline. This 2-dot weight loss for Rain Man should have been a headline. It's not. Those types of things tell me that it's most likely just AI content and just spitting out quite a large number of pages. This is typically what happens when you do that. It's just a churn and burn, but there is something to be said about some of these keywords. So if you want to go ahead and look at these keywords and the keywords that this site was ranking for, that will tell you that you actually don't need a very high domain rating to rank for those same keywords. You see, so even websites that have been essentially clapped by Google will still kind of tell you, hey, all of those keywords are pretty ripe to go and pick from and maybe do better or try and do better with in terms of the execution of the article itself. Okay, so 262.run. For each one of these, you should have Ahrefs. Pull it up in Ahrefs and do your own analysis. I'm just giving you a very high level overview and which domains to go and look at, so you don't have to spend the time trying to find them. Okay. All right, cool. So the next one, I love this one. I think this is great. I mean, this is a fantastic one. This is probably going to be one of my favorites. So I'm kind of giving you my favorite in the middle of the video right now, and I think that that's cool, but there's more to come. But I think in terms of the amount of traffic that we're seeing here, I mean, this is a real website in my opinion. Anything over 500K in terms of traffic, that's when you're going to be really starting to make some actual money. You're talking like the $12,000 to potentially $20,000 a month, and I think that's some real money. After taxes, you're still going to be in a situation where your take home is potentially not even that great. So you have to understand that like this is a real business that you're trying to create. You're not just trying to create a niche site. And so, in my opinion, this is a real business. And I think this is great. They don't really need a high domain rating. We can go through what some of the pages are, but as you could probably tell just from the name of the domain, which is convertmaniacs.com, it's all conversions, right? So it's like Fahrenheit and Celsius conversions, ounces and cups, those types of things. Now, if you're going to try to recreate this site, one thing you have to understand is, well, you actually do need the real calculator on the site. So they do have the real calculators in terms of like you being able to punch in what you're looking for and being able to make that conversion. You can see it works, which is pretty cool. And so you're going to want to go ahead and do that. So that's what makes it a little bit more challenging if you're going to try to compete with this site, is essentially you're going to have a little bit more engineering knowledge to be able to execute on this and be able to follow through. But quite great in terms of the traction on this, and certainly more than 30,000 in terms of pages that were created. So you might ask yourself, well, isn't this kind of programmatic SEO? It's not really. The reason why is because there is actually some custom content on every single page, which is pretty surprising. And that's the way that they're competing, is they have custom content plus the actual calculator. So they put a lot of work into the site, even though it looks like it might not be. So looks can be deceiving sometimes. Okay, same thing. This is a 1.2 domain rating site. So basically 0 links, 0 valuable links, right? And if we go back here 5 years, we can see they've been working on this for a while, since 2021. They don't really have that many posts, about 500 that are live, and it's the same thing, right? It's just conversions in terms of like metrics, right? So this would be kilometers and miles per hour, and I think that's pretty cool too. So here's 40 kilometers to miles per hour, and this is what it looks like. You can see, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Now, in terms of this being a valuable resource, like, yeah, this is definitely a valuable resource, and they put some money into this. This is not super easy to do. So if you're going to be doing this, you have to have that knowledge of being able to do some programming work, some engineering work, and then being able to spit out the pages. I would say this is maybe not as easy to compete with as well, but certainly like fantastic in terms of execution, and something you could definitely learn from. and you could maybe even answer questions. If you wanted to compete with this site, you could answer the questions that somebody might have instead of just answering the actual conversion itself. That's a way in as well. Okay, more in this niche. I definitely found a lot in this niche, and I think that it's kind of cool to see this. So we had convertmaniacs.com, which was definitely converting like ounces and cups. We had kilometers to miles per hour, and now this is another one, which is just all sorts of calculations here. But what we could see is 5,000 pages that were posted. So again, these are posts or pages that are being created by a machine. But yeah, domain rating of 5. I mean, that's crazy. That's so low. And then if we look at what's kind of in some of these, what's under the hood, what's in the site itself, we can see once this loads, more kind of grams to cups conversions. So instead of ounces to cups, we have a lot of conversions here too. Now you might be a little bit perplexed to know that if you put this into Google, Google's most likely going to give you the calculated answer, but people still click, especially if you're using web too. So yes, you might have kind of Google answering the question for you in a lot of these, which is something to always think about when you're thinking about picking a category of site that you're creating. But what I've noticed in particular is that most of the answers will get answered for you by Google on the mobile device. And so you will still get traffic on desktop, and you would be surprised how many people are still searching for a lot of these things on desktop. And what's also very, what's very interesting to think about is that desktop traffic typically pays more, but if you are going to be monetizing through display ads, it's very critical to know that a lot of people will have ad blockers on, right? So your traffic amount that you're getting from desktop will certainly pay more, but you're not going to have 100% in terms of monetization of that web traffic that comes in. I hope all that made sense. You have some dynamics to kind of think through there in terms of mobile, Google answering questions, web traffic, and then ad blockers, and kind of how that plays a role in the monetization of your site. Okay. All right. So last one here, thecleverheart.com. You can see this is on a rampage, and I love this. So on a rampage with only 60 posts. If we click through to the site, I think this is really key. This is a site with a lot of EEAT baked into it. So it has nothing to do with the author here, Chrissy. It has everything to do with if you just Google The Clever Heart, if you Google Chrissy, there's a lot of references to Chrissy having started this website, okay? And so that's really key is Google the brand itself, go through what Google is displaying in terms of it understanding as an entity what the brand is about, okay? And that is going to be your kind of key answer for a lot of the EEAT. So she's done a lot of great work on Pinterest, especially when it comes to these printables. Pinterest traffic is great with those printables. And so there's certainly a track record of Chrissy and this brand existing. And so she doesn't really need to have very many links. In fact, she's got none at all with a domain rating of 2.3 because she's done a lot of that EEAT stuff in terms of the brand getting developed. But this is a great website for you to go and check out and for you to be able to replicate what she's doing when it comes to brand building, because you've probably heard that when other people are talking about it on other videos, and it's probably very confusing. And a lot of people think it's very expensive to do, and it's not. It's just more time consuming, although you can get VAs to kind of help you. You can get other services to help you once you understand what strategy it is that you're trying to execute, okay? And so, this is thecleverheart.com. And then when we go to the top pages, we can see there are some things that are really interesting here. So beige app icons, blue app icons, black app icons. She's essentially providing resources, which I think is great. So if we go into this white app icons, yeah, I mean, these are just free resources, ones that she's collected. You can see, I mean, it's just a page full of things that she's collected and found on the internet. And then, a couple of snippets. I mean, this is great content, actually. If you're thinking about answering the question for the human, so helpful content update stuff, we'll call it, is this is great. This is a great piece of writing to look at because it gets right into what people want when they're actually searching this term. So the intent, alignment with the keyword, and the execution of the content is just fantastic. And it's generally a pretty good resource. You can actually see this is a pretty recent post too. So October 10th, 2023, the day that I'm filming this is November 26th. So that tells us that Google really likes this content and it really likes her website. So if you want to go ahead and check this out, I think this is a great example. And most likely, this website's gonna continue to grow. This is not gonna be a website that gets clapped by any means. Most likely, somebody else will just come in and maybe take over the traffic with a higher domain rating website. That probably will happen. But in terms of her actually getting any Google penalties, that will not happen. So great execution of SEO. She certainly knows what she's doing. She is targeting specific keywords as well. You can see short positive quotes, short inspirational quotes, black and white app icons, black app icons. And so she definitely knows what she's doing, but she's not over optimizing, which is really key. You don't want to over optimize because that's going to hit some of those helpful content update triggers. Okay. So once again, the purpose of these videos is to give you the websites to go and look at, not just, I gave you a little quick synopsis and my analysis, but the key is that you can punch these in and you can spend the time to analyze them and learn from them, okay? And so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 now to go and look at. 5 awesome websites to go check out where you can potentially steal keywords, you can potentially duplicate the website, you could potentially do something better with a higher domain rating website, you could potentially make better content, you could potentially compete with building your brand even more that you want, and hopefully this is helpful. Okay, subscribe because I'm gonna come back at you next week. No editing in these videos, no cuts, no nothing. This is just me rambling, having a little bit of fun with you. But I'm gonna do this again next week. This upload is going to go live tonight, and then next week we'll try to do 5 more. All right, leave comments, and thanks again for watching.